This is Prime Sports NASCAR Report on Prime Sports Network as Kevin Harvick sweeps Michigan, Eric. And I'm going to get a trivia question here for you now. Can you name the top three most infuriating sports out there? Really infuriating. Like it just drives you nuts. It's just so
I would say
here. I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah,
make it
give
easy.
me yeah.
NASCAR.
Yep.
NASCAR.
NASCAR. Yep.
Brad Keselowski takes out Ryan Blaney, but I put $2 on Colin Morikawa before the day started with Ryan Blaney. Would have paid me $270. $270 for a $2 wager, and Ryan Blaney was obviously going to win this race had he not gotten wrecked. Or Brad Keselowski would have won, and I had some money on him, and we all like Brad Keselowski because his odds were great after where he looked on Saturday. We know how much he wanted it, and then Keselowski takes out. He doesn't take out Harvick or Hamlin, who are usually leading at this point, but just at the time when Ryan Blaney leads, when he wasn't leading very often compared to Harvick and Hamlin, that's when Keselowski decides to take someone out.
Yeah, it is frustrating because it's like, they were running the top two, and Harvick had that dirty air. It's like, hey, they might be able to hold him off, get on this restart, get on. And like Harvick noted after the race, his car wasn't as good yesterday as it was Saturday, and dirty air was a contributor to that. And they take each other out, and they just like gift wrapped it. All right, here you go, Hamlin and Harvick. Now you're 1-2, and you don't have to stop the rest of the way.
We knew it was over.
Yeah,
that was it.
At that point, it just baffles me. Even at the end of the first stage, they all come down pit road and pit, and out of nowhere, Harvick enters 8th, and it's like, oh, great, he's in 2nd. Here we go. It's over.
And Ryan Blaney had his problem on pit road with, what was it? They didn't tighten something, and they had to come back in.
Tighten the lug nut. Yeah. Yep.
And he still wind up leading at the end.
Yep. He was got a good strategy right there, and that's what's frustrating is, especially for the betting world. I mean, Harvick was 2-1, like as of yesterday,
and did not deserve to win that race at 2-1.
No, it wasn't even worth putting any money on unless you went elsewhere, and then you go elsewhere, and the drivers are looking really good elsewhere, and two of them take each other out, and then the other two, I put a little bit of money on FanDuel yesterday because they gave me some free money for Brad Keselowski. I put Brad Keselowski, Blaney, Truex, and Hamlin. And they're all right there, and it's like you just gift wrapped it to Kevin Harvick. It's just like I should have just took the $50, took it out back, and lit it on fire. It's like that wasn't even because if you threw the $50 on Kevin Harvick, you weren't going to win anything back. So it's like, it was a very, very.
I mean, you could have. It's one of those things where you could have said, okay, I'm just going to put all my money on Harvick, double my money, but that just rarely happens because we just saw what happened out there where Keselowski took Blaney out. Those are the things that just happen. But how does it not happen to the 2-1 guy? I mean, that's the thing that was just that was just such a frustrating turn of events.
It further goes to why we've been saying for Blaney for the last month that don't sleep on him. His odds, eventually that luck is going to change.
You would think.
That guy, fast car leading the race and gets taken out. Texas, 150 laps led, swept both stages, gets a fluke caution by a back marker pitting in the middle of turn 4. Kentucky, broken shifter. I mean, the speed is there. So he just, once he gets some luck, and what's good for him is not only is the speed there, he's beating Hamlin and Harvick. He's ahead of them when this stuff's happening to him. So, he's a guy I'd still watch. I wouldn't give up on him yet just because this bad luck's happened.
And what about that end of the race scenario? It really looked like Denny Hamlin. See, I think what we got was the reason I think that was very strange, where it looked like Hamlin was eventually going to pass Kevin, was they were not the top two cars. That's the reason. Keselowski and Blaney were, but they had taken themselves out. So now you had the third and fourth best cars fighting each other, and that's probably why it was kind of strange not to see Denny Hamlin pass him, or even, I don't know, maybe he should have been more aggressive, or maybe Denny was like, look, there's no reason to be aggressive here. I don't want to make any enemies.
Yeah, and like Hamlin said too after the race, like he thought he had a faster car than Harvick, and you look at it, by the end of the straightaway, he's just right on him, and they're getting through the corners, and he's right there. but at turns exits on 2 and 4, Harvick just pulls away,
Yeah.
and it just he doesn't. And all the drivers kept saying that they don't know. I would be curious how legal that engine is. I mean, granted, it passed inspection twice, but every driver in the field, you look at their quotes you're getting, you're on Zoom calls, you're getting the manufacturer quotes, and they all said, we had nothing for Harvick on the straightaways. We were even with him in the corners. We had nothing for him. And that car for Harvick is 3 for 3. It won the Brickyard. It won both races at Michigan. And they said they'll probably retire that car now because it was specifically made for big tracks and straightaways. And it paid off. But again, how did nobody else adapt to this? Why is he the only one that's doing this? So does this advantage go away into next year because
Yeah,
it's
I
the
would
same
think
car?
so.
Like,
No, I
think
think it
people
goes
are gonna
away
learn.
because you're going to get, unless NASCAR changes the rules back, and let's hope they
Mhm.
don't, because this is better. But if they
Yep.
go back to practice and qualifying, then I think that's what maybe.
It'll help Harvick back out again. Yeah, you would think people would learn, like, okay, this pitch strategy, this bringing specific cars, and why don't we just, it's a copycat league just like every other sporting league, and let's just do what they're doing. It's working. And yeah, it's just nobody had anything for him on the straightaways, which proved to be the factor.
Well, if
Hamlin couldn't
that was a
pass him.
championship race, though, Denny Hamlin's taking him out.
Oh, he would have wrecked him.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, that. But now we look at the championship, and those are still the two to beat.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no denying it. But I will say, like, talked about Blaney, Truex. There's some other guys that are creeping
Absolutely.
in there.
Because we're going to get, because
nice.
if Blaney gets himself at least in the final four, and it's just mano-a-mano with Harvick and Hamlin and whoever, we know Ryan Blaney could win that race.
Yep. And it's a shorter track. They're going to use the bumper. I mean, hey, you may hurt somebody's feelings, but you won the championship. You'll deal with that later.
Absolutely.
You're like, hey, man. And I think anybody in the same situation is going to say that. Whereas Homestead's put on good races. I feel like that's one of the better amount to have tracks. But guys can't use their bumper. They're not going to wreck you. It's too fast. Phoenix, different story. You're going to get, especially, we've seen how Homestead looks. It's just like the other 36 cars just get out of the way and the 4 get to the front.
Yeah.
Well, if all 4 are to the front in the end, all bets are off. So, yeah, I think it's Hamlin and Harvick. They've got to be looking over their shoulder because there's some guys starting to heat up again.
Okay, so as far as short tracks, Thursday we're going to do our show, and we're going to be previewing the first road course at Daytona. That should be an awful lot of fun. It should be crazy to handicap, because this is no way a race where Kevin Harvick or Denny Hamlin are going to be like the favorites. No. I'm sure the odds might represent that just a little bit, just because of the season they're having, but it's going to be wide open.
Yeah, they're going to start on the front row. And like Harvick said in his Zoom call yesterday after he won, he's like, they told him, like, hey, I think you're going to be on the pole with this crazy qualifying metric they use, which is another topic for a different day. But on the pole, and he goes, yeah, you know what's going to be wild is I've never driven that track before, and all these people are just going to follow me off the cliff in turn 1 because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have any practice. And if I'm the pole guy, he's like, I was kind of hoping I'd be able to follow somebody for a few laps. So, yeah, it's going to be a wild.
So they're not going to be able to practice on this track at all?
Nothing. And there's a chance it's Florida.
Simulator, though, only, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. But here's the key factor that you can't simulate: rain. They talked about it's Florida. It's August, a 3:00 start. What happens if it rains? They're going to run. They're going to race in the rain on the road course. Yes, they've got rain tires. They will race. So
wow,
it's going to be a complete.
Very good.
What's that? For a lack of a better word, a shit show. You're going to have guys with no practice, no time, and hey, you got to race in the rain.
I'll take Michael McDowell.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Those are the ones we got to go for, right?
Yes. Yeah. Because I mean, hey, if they all wreck up front in the first lap, these guys in the back, I'm like, you might want to lay back a little bit. You don't know what's going to happen. You may have some crazy finishing order. This is the time. This is the one race that you might want to risk more long shots.
Absolutely.
Again, like you said, Harvick and Hamlin are going to share the front row, and they're going to get 3-1, 4-1 odds. I wouldn't bet on them.
No way.
No way. They're not great on road courses.
No favorites
anyway,
this week. I'm not touching favorites this week. Look, if they win, and I'm sure because it's NASCAR and it's the most frustrating sport going, they probably will still win somehow because of luck. But go ahead and luck your way in. I'll bet against that.
Yeah, Truex and Elliott are two that I had my eye on. They've won like 7 of the last 8 road course races. Yeah. You got to look at the Roval and Charlotte. Those two have been good there. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what those two's odds are this week.
All right. Now, quickly, the playoff picture. What's the deal there? Because Byron is just hanging on for that final spot. Jimmy Johnson's on the outside, and another week goes by. Hendrick Motorsports just getting nothing.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him. I thought by now they'd have this thing turned back around, and they're just that top 15 team, but not inside the top 5. They're not even a factor. I don't think. Yeah, Chase Elliott led 9 laps on Saturday. That was because he took the choose cone, which I thought was a great. I thought it worked great. Gave guys some strategy. He took the lead off of it, but he just wasn't quick enough to hold on, and he faded back to 7th. So, yeah, they're off, and you've got 2 of their drivers smack dab on the bubble. But the thing is, Byron just keeps. He went from 15 up on to 26, and he didn't do anything this weekend. So he just keeps distancing himself. I feel personally right now the 16 drivers in are your 16 drivers that are going to make it, unless the 2 Daytona races change this up.
Oh, I mean, how could it not? I'd be surprised if we didn't get a non-playoff driver steal one of those 2 wins.
Yeah, and if a guy that's already won wins this weekend, then I feel like DiBenedetto and Boyer, they're good. I mean, you got the top 3, Almirola, Kurt, and Kyle. They're 158, 130, 140, and 137 to the good. They're not falling out of the clutches there. So those 3 are good on points. You got Boyer 60 up and DiBenedetto 57 up. They're only 3 points separated. That's a good fight right now, just in case somebody outside the top 16 wins. Now, that's your cutoff. Now, that's a good battle right there. That's 3 points between them. But if they escape this weekend, then they're good, because Dover, let's be honest, it's going to be Truex, Harvick, Hamlin. The good guys are going to probably win both those races. That takes you to Daytona for the regular season finale. Even if you get one fluke winner, that just takes Byron out. Those other 2, they've got a good enough cushion on Byron. They're, I think, DiBenedetto, yeah, he's 31 points ahead of Byron. They just need to sweat out one more weekend. And but again, if somebody new wins this weekend, then yeah, those 2 are going to be really sweating bullets. So it
really doesn't matter right now where Jones, Johnson, and Reddick are as far as points. Yeah, they have to win.
I think they got to win. Yeah, they're Jones and Johnson are 26 points out. They're not finishing consistently.
Yeah, they're not going to all of a sudden 3 straight top 5s. Not happening.
No, it's not going to happen. And then Reddick fell 36 back. It's just not. I think they're to the point they got to win. Byron hasn't shown the speed that he can win. He's just right now, you can see their strategy. They're just going for stage points. They're just trying to points their way, get a good gap where they don't have to worry about anything other than somebody winning. And I think they're almost there. But they're not going to win either. I don't feel like they're as safe that they're just going to magically win a race. So I think right now that's where these 2 Daytona races can shake things up, and that's about it.
Okay, well, that's good because, like you said, Dover is probably going to be. We've seen what has happened over the last 2 weekend events, how boring they've been, and Dover will probably be the same way a week from Saturday when we have back-to-back Dover races in between the road course and the super speedway at Daytona to end the regular season. All right, Eric. So what else? Because before I let you go, you got everything else going on this week. A double duty with IndyCar practice for the 500. Of course, that race is a week from Sunday.
Yep. I'll be got approved. I'll be on site at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Awesome.
A few of us. Yeah, we'll be representing there. Wednesday starts practice. I'll be there every day. They'll qualify this coming weekend, and then next weekend will be the 104th running of the Indianapolis 500. So. We'll be obviously on site paying attention there, but also have my eye on NASCAR too as the regular season winds down.
Eric, appreciate it. That's racereviewonline.com. We'll talk to you along with CJ on Thursday.
Yep, sounds good.